Okay, hello, and we're live. So um, I'm starting a shear, hopefully a series of shear classes on the topic of Moshiach, and this will be primarily based on this book. It's called Inyan Shel Moshiach. The book was published in Israel in 2006 to 2007 by Rabbi Shalom Dover Wolf. The thing about this book, it covers the entire concept of Mashiach and quite a bit of detail, but primarily focusing on the Maimonides, the Rambam, Nachmanides, and the writings of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And it covers the entire scene, so to speak, from what is Mashiach, why Mashiach, how do we know who Mashiach is, what the coming of Mashiach will entail, the Messianic age itself, the resurrection of the dead, and so forth. All right, so let's begin. In the preface, in the introduction to the book, the author goes over what sources will be used. And the way I'm going to do this is, and again, this is the first time I'm doing this, so please bear with me. There's going to be hiccups, but we'll get through it. I'm going to limit this tonight to half hour, and I'll just see how this goes. The format and all that. But again, this is by way of an introduction, and the book opens up by saying, and the way this is going to work is I will read, translate, and explain to the best of my ability. And please post questions in the forum, in the thread, and later on I will upload the video to YouTube, and we'll post the link. All right, here we go. When we come to the topic of Mashiach, so before we delve into the topic, we need to understand, what are the sources? Why are we saying what we're saying? Based on what exactly? What legitimacy do we have by stating this or that about the matter? And who are the authors or the authorities that we're invoking? To explain the meaning of all these messianic matters, and to define what they are and how to approach in learning about them. One thing I failed to mention is the reason I'm doing this. I was motivated. I've been motivated for a long time, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave an address back in 1991, Chavzan, the 27th day of Nisan, where he appealed to his Hasidim and any Jewish person, really, to do whatever we can, whatever we're capable of doing to bring Mashiach. That was a very strong appeal. It was a very unusual departure from the Rebbe's routine, and it's been a long time, 28 years, coming up on 28 years. And subsequently, the Rebbe would say that even the smallest good deed or even a thought or action can tip the scales and bring Mashiach, and hopefully this class and the classes to follow will be in that league. And if this is going to help bring Mashiach a second closer, it will it will have been worth it a million times over. All right, so here we go again. Many of our sages, many of the Jewish sages in the course of generations delved and exposed the topic of Mashiach. They wrote books. They expounded on the topic. The difference or the feature of this book, however, is it will focus primarily on Maimonides, Nachmanides, and the writings of the rabbis of Chabad, and specifically the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the seventh Rebbe. So it's important to spend a little bit of time on explaining who these personalities are, their life's work, and their teachings. But before that, there's a very famous saying, Omer Chazal, Kol Omer Shmuel B'Shem Mara Yeh Roye Ki'ilu Ba'al Shmuel Omer Kenegde. There's a famous saying from the Yerushalmi, from the Jerusalem Talmud, Tractate Shabbos, that whoever repeats a teaching, a saying in its author's name, it's as if that author they're facing that author, meaning there's not only is this a repetition, but it's also kind of a communion type. There's a relationship, a connection that's established with the author of a particular saying, albeit that author may have been gone for many centuries. Nevertheless, we're taught that something happens when we repeat a teaching in the name of whoever taught it, and not only that, it adds a vitality, it's called chayus, and an additional meaning to that teaching. So this obviously applies to the Maimonides. Maimonides was a philosopher that lived in the 11th and 12th century, in the 10th and 11th centuries. He was obviously the author of Mishnah Torah. Nachmanides lived a little bit later than that, approximately 50 years later. The main difference between the two is that Maimonides' focus is halacha, Jewish law. Nachmanides is more of a Kabbalistic bend. And then, of course, we will examine the works of the rabbis of Chabad, and specifically the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe. And this is what we're going to discuss now, before delving into the meat of the matter, so to speak. Terasa Shel Nasa Derena, the Torah of the leader of the generation. There's a famous saying, the Moshe Rabbeinu Lo Meis. This is from this is from the commentaries. What it means to say is that, and this not unlike Jacob, one of our forefathers. What it means to convey is that just like Moses, the first leader of the Jewish people, has not died, in the sense that there's been a complete disconnection and non-involvement with the Jewish people. The same way, the manifestation, and this is a Kabbalistic teaching, that every generation has a manifestation of the Moses of that generation, and there's no generation that doesn't have its Moses. there's no Moses-less generation, and this is the what's called the Nasi. The in modern Hebrew, it really means president, but in this context, it means the leader, the head, of the generation, and just like the head of a body understands and feels all the limbs of the body, the same way the leader, the head of the generation, is in touch, he's connected to all the other limbs, all the other people of that generation. And these statements are not just for effect. They're not made for effect. They're made to they reflect a very deep truth. And this is again, this is in reference to the Moshiach of the generation, the Moshiach Shibidor, B'Kol Dor V'Dor, and this has replayed itself many times throughout the generation. I want back at the times of the Maimonides. Maimonides was the head of the generation. Later on, it was Nachmanides, and so on down the line. More recent times, the Maharal from Prague, then the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid, and so on down the line, culminating in the Simple Lubavitcher Rebbe. ולכן בבואנו לעסק סוגיות היסודות והעיקריות של המשמעות של ימות המשיח. When we come to get an understanding of what it means, the days of Moshiach, והאמונה בהם, and the faith that we're enjoined to espouse in the coming of Moshiach. אז זה לכל ראש. We need a compass. We need some kind of a guiding influence to help us get at the truth, to help us understand this very complex topic. This is not at all a simple matter. It can be viewed very simplistically, but in fact, it's very deep and it's very fundamental to Judaism itself. And such a compass is we find that in the works of our rabbis, and specifically again the current leader of the generation, and where these matters are explained in depth. And specifically through this type of learning and understanding, in other words, the more we delve into the various aspects of this entire topic, the more they come to light, and they transition from what's known as hidden or sitra to something that's nigla, that's on the level of a revealed teaching. They become clear, and they become elucidated. They become easily explained. And they become a source upon which to build other further understanding of this topic, with God's help. So what makes the teachings of the Rebbe specifically applicable and relevant to this entire topic? Amr Chazal, the sages say, there's a saying that the halacha, when it comes to the prohibited matters, are like the Rav. When it comes to financial, monetary matters, we follow Shmuel. And again, this is in a very high level. What it means is that Rav was expert in laws of the forbidden matters, and Shmuel was expert in in the topics that had to do with finances. Even though they were both experts in each other's fields, nevertheless, they quote unquote specialized in those specific topics. Likewise, when it comes to אף על פי כן התמוך הרב באופן מיוחד בדיני איסור, לכן תמיד הלכה כמויסה באיסורים, ושמואל תחמו באופן מיוחד בדיני ממון. And again, even though they were expert in both fields, nevertheless, we follow each one according to their deep level of expertise. And the same can be applied to the teachers of the Rebbe, because one of his main preoccupations ever since he came of age was to understand, to get involved in the topics of Moshiach, and he spent a tremendous amount of effort and time to glean knowledge and an understanding of these matters, and subsequently that was transmitted to the public with a very deep emphasis on what exactly the coming of Moshiach entails, what to expect, and more importantly, how to prepare for it. I'm going to skip down a little bit. So, in other words, what Rebbe has accomplished is on the level of deep academic study, and we're privileged and we have we feel a debt of gratitude that these teachings have been revealed and made available to us. This will continue a little bit further in that vein. I want to get into the first chapter, and give me 1 second, and we'll be there right there. Okay. Okay, so let's begin with an overview of what will be covered. How long has it been going on? 17 minutes. All right, not so bad. Okay, here we go. Page 37. Inyan Yishol Mashiach. Skira Shittis Shaynes B'Mishmaut Shel Imois Mashiach. So this is by way of an overview of what Imois Mashiach, the Messianic age will manifest as, and how to approach and how to quote unquote deal with it. Imois Mashiach v'Gula Hashlema Hem Sugya Shlema Vikers B'Tersena. So the coming of Mashiach and Messianic age is not a side issue. It's a very fundamental issue in the Torah. And again, like with any other topic in the Torah, there are many facets to them, and they can be explored to an nth degree. They can be delved into on many different levels, and the same applies to this topic. There's what's called mashmuas gluis. They're open, revealed meanings. Mashmuas pnimius od yaiser, and there are deep meanings within the deep meanings. Meaning, again, these topics can be explored to a very deep degree. כיוון שכן אפשר למצוא בדברי הנביאים והחכמים תיאורים שונים למאורס של ימות המשיח. If we look in the revealed Torah, meaning the Tanakh, the Talmud, and so forth, there are many different descriptions and many different explanations as to what Yemot Mashiach actually entail, but they're scattered up, as they say, all over the place, and sometimes at a cursory reading, they seem to contradict one another. And we'll see further that it really isn't the case, but someone without a deep understanding of these matters, we can easily come to the wrong conclusion. If you said the God Shalimot Rabbi, Pami Rabbis, there's a fundamental principle to what the Rebbe teaches us. Shekeshem Shekoye is Baruch Echad Emes, since God is what's called a Echad Emes, is one in His truth, or in the truth. Kach HaTorah Shehi Hakmose Mechedes Imo Yisbarach, and the Torah that He reveals to us is one with Him. Emes, this is it's a Torah of Emes, and it's Torah Achas. It's one Torah, and it's a Torah of truth. Torah incidentally means a teaching, so it's a unique one true teaching, unlike anything else. And whatever we find, and this goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, where one can erroneously conclude from looking at the various descriptions of the Messianic age that are found throughout the Tanakh and Torah in general, and conclude that really these people must be talking about completely different things. That which it is not the case, because again, Torah is one. It's a complete and perfect unity. It's just that those different descriptions aim to convey different aspects. It's probably not unlike if somebody's talking about a computer, that will say first that, well, this thing has a screen, and somebody else will focus on the keyboard, and another person will focus on the mouse and so forth. The point is clear that although each one is correct, not understanding the entire structure, again, can easily lead one to come to the wrong conclusions. And to get it all together was not a simple task. To bring to light the inner meaning of Moshiach, and to go from more so to speak, light aspects of Moshiach to the heavier ones. Okay, so from the immediate or easily understandable topics to the more refined and not easily understood. Okay. It further says as follows: once you've examined all these sources, so the picture emerges that so Yimoisam Mashiach really, at a very, very high level, is a culmination of the development of the world, where the world will reach some kind of perfection, the most possible perfection possible. Hashleimus Efsharis. Akbazeh Atzma Yeshnan Drachim Shoines, Avin Mai Be'emes Shlimusa Shel. But even within that, or especially within that, there are many different levels, and they need to be examined to understand what is it that this shleimus, this perfection, will mean. ובעצם לכן יש להם תיאורים שונים של שleimus העולם בימות המשיח. And because of this, there are various different descriptions of what the world will be like when Moshiach comes, and subsequent to that. ובכלל אפשר למנוע בזה שלוש גישות. And in general, it's possible to outline three approaches. So what are those three approaches? Number one, Aleph. Bir Rambam al pi chochmas achira. So again, Rambam primarily deals with, or exclusively deals with, what's called Akira, philosophy, and laws that are applicable, practical laws, so to speak. Shleimus abriya hi shibnei odem yakiru v'yesigu b'seichlim as Gadlos says bar. So Rambam postulates, Rambam states that in the Messianic age, people will yesigu, they will reach, they will achieve a level of understanding, intellectual understanding, of a very, very high level of intellectual understanding of the Creator. So that's the Rambam, Maimonides. Second one is what's called a Bir Teranya Alachosi. This is more of a halacha type of an angle. Tachlis Abriya he is Galus Malchusay is born Bikol Oilam. The tachlis, the purpose of creation is the revelation of the rulership of Hashem, His Baruch, B'chol Olam, over the entire world. In other words, where God will be manifest and open, where to the point where people will be able to point and say, "Zeh Hashem v'yanvei," this is my God, something that will be plainly visible and perceptible by our senses. And this will be done through the fulfillment of mitzvahs. And it specifically, it will not be of just through intellectual understanding, but more of a all-encompassing, all-enveloping kind of a sense of doing mitzvahs. And it will be by way of accepting the yoke, the rulership of God, and the acceptance of the kingdom of heaven, so to speak. Gimel, Bir Hasidic, and there's also a Hasidic explanation. So far we've covered both. Two. There's the Rambam's explanation, which is the reason behind Moshiach is to bring the world to a state of perfection. The second one is the fulfillment of all the commandments, which will propel people at that time to a very high level, where they will achieve a state of some kind of a communion with the Almighty. And the Hasidic explanation is as follows: so this itself could be a whole big topic. Very briefly, this means to say that the reason for the creation of the world is that, and it's a famous Hasidic teaching. That God desired to create, to make for Himself a dwelling place in the lowest worlds. That's what it means. What does it mean in our case? Shakadosh Baruch Hu Asmoi Mashi Efshel Liasik B'Seichel Klal Kavyochel Yider, that Hashem, who was obviously impossible to understand and to comprehend, who is beyond comprehension. It desires either to live, to dwell. That Hashem desires to be revealed, to be palpable, with not just he himself, but his essence, to be revealed and to be comprehensible, to be reachable in this lowest, the lowest of all the worlds. Lefizeh, move on, and based on that, we can understand. Sheyeshem shloisha oifnim livar maya amashmaut amiuchedes shel yemos Moshiach. So based on that, there appears to be three different ways to understand the purpose behind Yemos Moshiach, the days of Moshiach. Shalein nemra shehi tachlis abriya. So obviously, this is a very quote unquote heavy statement to make, that Yemos Moshiach is not just a stage to something else. It's not a nice to have. This is really the entire purpose behind creation. The Yemos Moshiach Yedias Hashem Takiv Eskol Anushas. At the times when Mashiach will come, the awareness of and the knowledge of God will envelop the entire mankind. And everyone will achieve. And again, there will be differences, but at least on a basic pedestrian level, everyone will achieve a sense of God's existence, essence even, and God's greatness. Right now, God, we're taught to believe in God. We're taught to fulfill the commandments, but God is not visible. God, he's playing. It's a kind of a game of hide and seek. At the times of Mashiach, this God, the Creator, will quote unquote come out of the hiding. And in those times, Yomru Oid Ish L'Recho Limord Deves Hashem. Pardon me. Lo Yomru Oid Ish L'Recho Limord Deves Hashem Ki Kulam Yodu Oisi. This is from Zechariah, where at that time one person will not teach or push another one to know God, because God will be revealed universally. Kimala Harz the days of Hashem, because the earth will be filled with the knowledge of God. At that time, the world will be filled with the knowledge and an awareness of God, to the extent that everyone will be doing their commandments. That at that time, God will be king all over the entire world. And number three, the Yemos Mashiach is God HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Kol Nachakois V'Olam Hazeh. He will be revealed entirely and completely everywhere. That your teacher will no longer hide. And Pirush, the explanation is as was just mentioned. Shiloi Ischase Mimka that Hashem will be completely revealed, so to speak. You and Ekav Raya says, your eyes will behold your teacher. And all this will be explained in the coming pages. I'm going to just a little bit, and I think with this we're going to wrap up, because it's already over 30 minutes. Tachlis Abriya Yedias Hashem. So the Tachlis, the purpose of creation is to know God. Rambam Eid al Atzmai, Shedarka he lekabes bein Torah bein muskal. So the Rambam, when he set out to write his what's called magnum opus, his mission Torah, said that he would collect all the laws, all the halachas, and put it in one work, so that a person without a lot of background and knowledge, that would be accessible to them. Sharamam medaber al muskal kavanose beika lekuki ateva mosev ve'akira ve'filosofim alehu medaber b'saprim marinuk. And Rambam explains a lot of these concepts in another one of his fundamental works, which is called the Marin and Nebuchim, which is the what's called the Guide to the Perplexed. It's, even in English, it's hard to say. And he explains or covers some, a lot of the fundamentals of the Jewish faith, and the reasons why to follow and perform mitzvahs. Okay, with this we're going to wrap up. Hope this was worth your while. I thank you for. I see there's a shout out to Lila Brocha Zopa, Peretz V. Davidson, and Pinchas Mopsikov. I want to thank you, all three of you. Not bad for first timer. We're gonna with this we're gonna wrap up. This will be posted later on YouTube, and with God's help, we're gonna continue next week. Okay, everyone, have a great week, and Moshiach now.